Today I'm going to read you, I think, the best book ever. The book's name is A Dog's Way Home. The level is 4.5 and the worth 9 points. I'm just going to read you 2 chapters, but I am going to read the whole book, but I'm just going to read 2 chapter by 2 chapter by 2 chapter because the iPad can take a lot of the words I said. Okay, again, the book's name is A Dog's Way Home. It has 320 pages and 50 chapters, so I'm going to read you 2 chapters by 2 chapters by 2 chapters by 2 chapters. Okay, then let's start. Chapter 1, Abby. It was a near to perfect fall day. The late October sky was so blue and crisp, it made my eyes hurt. And the Virginia hills, all colors with their pretty fall leaves, humped and folded around us like one of Meemaw's patchwork quilts. Mama squeezed my shoulder. You couldn't ask for a prettier day for a competition. I shrugged. Tim and I ain't here for the scenery, Mama. Mama frowned down at me. Aren't, Abby whispered. Don't talk like a hillbilly. Tim yapped and pawed at my leg. I bent down and scooped him up in my arms, doing my level best to ignore Mama. Tim and I weren't there for a grammar lesson either. We were there to win the Southeast Virginia Junior Agility Championship. Mama reached out and tickled Tim's front paw, something I happen to know he does not like, but is too polite to say. Me and Tim watched Megan Smoot finish her run with her dog Sydney. Sydney dodged left and right around the last of the 3 jumps and missed the final jump altogether. Poor Megan, Mama said. That's going to cost her. That Megan has the attention span of a gnat, I said. It isn't Sydney's fault. He was just doing what Megan told him to do. Megan finished and we weakly to the audience as she disappeared into the sidelines. The loudspeaker crackled. Next up, ladies and gents, we have little Abby Whistler and her Shetland sheepdog, Tim. They come here all the way from Harmony Gap, North Carolina. Don't let their size and youth fool you. This is the team to beat. I set Tim on the grass and pulled down the bill of my lucky cap. I don't see why everybody has remarked on my being 11. I grumbled. Mama laughed. You and Tim go show them what you got. Tim and I stepped into the arena. The agility course spread out before us. We had to make it through those obstacles as fast as possible with no mistakes. Tim sat at my left heel, looking up at me, grinning his Sheltie grin. His red and white coat blazed like the Dickens in the sun. The star-shaped white patch on top of his head glowed. I smiled down at him. You ready to go tear it up, little boy? I watched for the signal from the judge table. I swear, a whole flock of crows rose up from my stomach, just like in our cornfield back home. The judge blew her whistle. Tim and I flew on the course. Tim hurtled through the tire jumps, bounded up the steep side of the A-frame, skidding down the other side. He sailed over 2 jumps, one after the other, like he had angel wings. He was always watching for me from the corner of his eye. Some pendlers yell at their dog the whole time they run the course. Others have all these fancy hand signals, even whistles, telling their dog where to go and what to do. But me and Tim didn't need any of that. We had a special understanding. All I had to do was shift a shoulder or nod my head a certain way and he understood. Tim always understood. He flew across the catwalk, charged through the tuna, bursting out the other end with a bark. He slipped in and out of the weave pole easy as water flowing down a stream. The end of the course was in sight. All we had left was the teeter-totter and 2 high jumps. I reckon at that point the crowd was standing and cheering us on, but I didn't hear them. All I knew was me and Tim in the sun shining bright. We ran to the end of the course and crossed the finish line. Tim leaped into my arm, covering my face with kisses. My heart about burst out of my chest as I looked up at the time clock. We had won. Mama and I were loading our stuff into the truck when Megan Smoot came sailing over. With one of those big old fakey smiles, she said, Congrats on your first place win, Abby. You and Sam are just super. I glanced over at her. The sun glinting off her braces about put my eyes out. It's Tim, not Sam. I snapped, which Megan knew, seeing as how we had this exact same conversation at each and every competition. "Oh, right," she said. "Well, anyway, there's going to be a pizza party at my house next weekend for everybody and Junior Handlers Club. Even though you're still not a member, we'd love to have you." I looked away. Tim and I might be busy that weekend. Doing what? I don't know. But I'd rather spend a day in the dentist chair than go to her party. Megan laughed. "No dogs, silly. This is just for us. It'll be fun." That's still the deal. I wasn't going anywhere without Tim. Megan walked away, swinging her hair this way and that. "It'll be fun," I said in a high, kneeling voice that to my mind sounded like a bothersome mosquito. "Well, it might be," Mama said. I snorted. "I went to her party last night, remember? The last thing I will call it is fun. All the kids in the Junior Handlers Club were from cities and big towns like Asheville, Hendersonville, and Weaverville. They talked to me like I was a stupid little hillbilly kid. Mama didn't understand what that felt like. She'd grown up in the city. But Tim understood. Tim always understood. Mama pushed the hair out of her eyes. "Wouldn't hurt for you to make some two-footed friends, you know. Everybody needs friends. I got Olivia," I said. "The last time I checked, she had 2 feet." Mama smiled. "Olivia's a fine friend, too, but it wouldn't hurt for you to broaden your horizons a little. Meet some kids outside Harmony Gap." I lifted Tim into his crate in the back of the truck. I hated this part. The way he looked at me with those chocolate brown eyes like I was doing the worst possible thing. But Mama was real particular about her brand new truck. If it had been Daddy's old van, Tim would sit right beside me. I fiddled with the latch on the crate door. It was so old and rusted. It didn't work worth squat. Let's get going, Abby. I want to drive a little way on the Blue Ridge Parkway before we stop for the night. It'll be nice to see some fall colors." I stretched my fingers through the wire of the crate door. I stroked the white star on the top of his head. Tim licked my fingertips. "Sorry, boy," I said. "You know how Mama is." I slipped him a piece of cheese and scratched his small, fine head. "Come on, Abby," Mama called, leaning out the truck window. Okay," I said. I gave Tim one last scratch behind his ear in the special spot he loves. "Don't worry, Tim," I said. "In no time we'll be home and everything will be fine." Chapter 2, Tim. The dog waited. He watched the girl walk to the side of the truck and open the car door. Surely she would come back, open the crate, and let him into her arms. Then everything would be as it should be. The truck door slammed. The engine rumbled to life. Tim whined, pawed at the wire door. Where was the girl, his girl, with her smell of grass and soap and sweet and the sound of her heart beating against his ear? Although a mere 4 feet separate dog and girl to Tim, it might as well have been 400 miles. The crate rocked and jiggled on the flatbed of the truck. Tim sighed and then lay down on the old towel covering the bottom of the crate to sleep. Something jolted Tim awake. The truck screamed in alarm. It swerved one way and then the other, throwing dog and crate against the metal side of the truck. The sick smell of burning rubber filled his nose. Tim yelped, scrambling to keep his footing. A crash. The sound of tearing, splitting metal, shattering glass. The truck carrying through thick green walls of rhododendron and Lara. The sound of the girl and the woman's cries filled him with fear. Then the dog's world turned upside down. Trees somersaulted overhead. The ground became the sky. Up and up he sailed and tumbled through the air down a steep embankment and away from all he knew. Silence, stillness. Something pulled the dog from the dark place. It was her voice, calling him. She was frightened. He must go to her now. Tim stood, pain seared through his shoulder, his feet tingled in the old towel the girl had placed in the crate. His leg would not hold him. He whined, listened again for her voice. All he heard was small rustling in the undergrowth, the snap of a twig, the sharp smell of a water rose from below. Tim shivered. The memory of his girl's cry filled him with panic. Tim barked, clawed at the side of the crate. He pushed his weight against the wire door, resting preciously on a rock ledge. It tipped forward. Doc and crate slid down the rock face, splashing into the creek below. The current grabbed them and spun them away from the bank. Icy water rushed into the vents of the crate. Tim hated water. He did not like to swim. He did not like to get his feet wet. Now the water rose up his legs. Horror bit deep into his soul. Tim cowered in one corner of the crate, then clawed at the other again, tearing his nail and pads. He pushed against the door. Rust and age had kept the latch from sliding into place. It gave away. He plunked into dark, rushing water. Although the water pushed him away, the tag on his collar caught in the wire door, holding him fast. Tim pulled hard. He worked his head fiercely side to side. Water rushed into his mouth and up his nose, bracing in front paws against the crate. He dipped his head and pulled back. Popping free of the collar and the tag set told everyone who he was and that he belonged to her. The current grabbed him, tumbling him down river, away from the crate and the collar and the memory of the warm, soft bed he shared with his girl. Okay, I'm going to stop here because chapter 2 ends. But if you want to hear more about this book, then just go search it because my screen is always black. Only at the end, after I finish the whole entire story, I'll show you the picture of the cover, and that's it. So if you want to hear more, then go find a black screen. Bye.